What's good? It's your boy Fanon. And I am going to do another video today about the ratings in HBO boxing and the apparent decline and dang near collapse of a once great franchise, HBO boxing. Before that, though, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe and like, man. I'm trying to get as many subscribers. And if you subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of the live streams that we're doing. Trying to start doing a lot more live streams, have real good interaction, real time interaction with subscribers and the like. So if you wouldn't mind, please do so. And now on to the subject matter at hand. I have been watching HBO for a long time, and I got to tell you, I have not been a fan of them in years. So I was kind of surprised with the feeling that I have now that I know for sure that HBO has really hit a low, and I'm not sure whether or not they're not only am I not do I not know whether they're going to recover. I have even less doubt, less belief that they even want to recover because of the quality of the programming that they're offering American fight fans. Let me go over the numbers and then I'll go back and then I'll kind of go over it after I get done. Shout out to boxingc.com. Shout out to Keith Eidick. Sor Roy Vasai Estrada main event peaked at 753,000 viewers on HBO. The second installment of Superfly drew lower ratings than HBO's first telecast, which produced similar ratings to the premier cable network's first offering of 2018. According to ratings released Tuesday by Nielsen's Media Research, HBO's main event Saturday night between Sirskrit Sor Roivasai and Juan Francisco Estrada drew a peak audience of 753,000. For Roivasai, Estrada averaged 639,000 viewers. Thailand's Sor Roivasai defeated Mexico's Estrada by majority decision to retain the WBC Super Welterweight title. He won from Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez last year. Sor Roivasai won on the scorecards of judges Kathy Leonard, 115-113, Stephen Morrow, 117-111. Judge Dave Moretti scored the 12-rounder even at 114-114 at the Forum in Inglewood, California. The main event of HBO's first Superfly card, Sor Roivasai's knockout of Gonzalez in their rematch September 9th in Carson, California, was watched by a peak audience of 835,000 viewers and an average audience of 796. That tripleheader benefited from the allure of the second bout between Sor Roivasai and Nicaragua's Gonzalez, 46-2 with 38 KOs, who was widely considered as boxing's pound-for-pound king before Sor Roivasai scored a controversial majority decision victory over him May 18th at Madison Square Garden. Ratings for this Superfly 2 broadcast were comparable to HBO's first boxing broadcast this year. The main event of that Boxing After Dark double header, Argentina's welterweight Lucas Matisse's 8-round knockout of Thailand's Karam attracted a peak audience of 769,000 and averaged 719,000. Viewership for the co-features Saturday night, McWilliams Arroyo's upset of Carlos Cuadras peaked at 589,000 and averaged 743,000 viewers watched the 12-round, 115-pound bout, which Puerto Rico's Arroyo won by majority decision over Mexico's Cuadras. Two judges, Tony Cribbs and Pat Russell. Cribbs had it 97-113, and Pat Russell had it 98-92. scored their back and forth fight for Arroyo. Judge Fernando Vieira scored the encounter a draw at 95-95. The opener of HBO's Boxing After Dark telecast Saturday night, Donnie Nieves' technical seventh round technical knockout of Juan Carlos Revco drew a peak audience of 533,000 and an average audience of 432,000. Philippines Nieves made his first defense of the IBF 112-pound championship by stopping Argentino's Revco. Now, all those numbers, I got to tell you, man, for HBO, and I usually do like the conversions to Showtime or whatever, these are the worst numbers of the year. These are the worst numbers of the year. And the thing in the main telecast, I mean, the worst for HBO and Showtime, comparing the two of those. And the thing that to me that really stands out about it is that the drop that took place between the peak and the average. 753,000, but it averaged 690,000. It just tells you that the whole card was not received well. And look, as much as I did not like Larry Merchant, I like HBO as an organization. I think that they really do have great programming all around. They've got a lot of very, very good producers on the boxing program, other than the people that decide who are fighting and the people that are calling the fights, with the exception of Roy Jones Jr. And now Andre Ward. But if I'm Floyd Mayweather Jr., I am laughing. Because they have gone downhill from the minute, and I know people who are subscribers to this channel know I'm going to mention it, pretty much from the minute that Larry Merchant got in the face of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and said that if he was 50 years younger, he would kick Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s behind. The disrespect that HBO has shown for American fighters has been, for the last, God, what is it? At least 20 years, has brought down the flagship boxing program, has brought HBO from being the number one boxing program to being the worst boxing program pound for pound on TV. And as much as they want to whip around calling people who don't deserve it pound for pound number one, they're pound for pound. They pound for pound, viewer for viewer, has got to be, they've dropped the number at least maybe number 5. Below Showtime, ESPN, Fox News, Fox Sports, and maybe number 4 after Fox, after Showtime, Fox, ESPN, and then there's Showtime. I was watching this fight, and I didn't do a review of the fight afterwards, because I was sitting there watching, thinking to myself, okay, Fanon, you're a boxing fan. You cannot make a video where you complain about the fact that probably only one fighter in the whole card was tall enough to have where they would have to rest their back on the top rope and not the middle of the ropes. What would possess HBO to invest their money in fight cards where you have guys that are 112 pounds, 115 pounds in your main event? Now, I'm watching the fight and I'm thinking, man, this is rock'em sock'em robots. And what are they trying to do here? What are they trying to accomplish here? You have all these great boxers in the United States of America that they could feature on that network, where you wouldn't have to have there was literally nobody on that card that I wanted to see fight. Nobody. This is how my boxing day went that day. And I think it's fair. I'm a boxing fan. I did a live stream in the middle of the afternoon for Callum Smith semifinal bout for the World Boxing Super Series. And simultaneously, I watched Daniel Dubois and Anthony Yardy fight on a live stream in the middle of the afternoon uh, from the UK and Germany. I think the other one might have been, thought it might have been in UK and in Germany, right? But regardless, those two fights were the highlight of my boxing day. And I cared so little about this, seeing Sor Vasai fight Estrada, Sor Royve versus Estrada. What were the other fights again? Because I got to remember what they were. Arroyo, Carlos Arroyo, Carlos Arroyo and Mexico's Cuadras. Nivetes versus Juan Carlos Revco. Are any of these guys, other than the Puerto Rican, American? They couldn't have found any American fighters to put on that program. And you expect people to support that in any great amount of numbers? They couldn't possibly. I've known for a while, pretty much, I figured that this is what's going on with HBO. That HBO isn't interested in boxing anymore. That they basically thrown in the towel to Showtime. And this is how bad it is. Right? It doesn't seem like they're interested in putting any quality fights actually on HBO. And the only quality fights that they really have, they're going to put on pay-per-view and make HBO subscribers pay for it directly. When they went through the fight and they announced what their cards were, the next fight I think that they have that's supposed to be significant is Daniel Jacobs versus Sulecki. Daniel Jacobs versus Sulecki. And then the next time you're going to see a good fight on HBO is going to be the replay of Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez in May. That's two decent fights in the first 5 months of the year. It is completely apparent that they don't give a fat rat about boxing. And so back to my original thesis is I'm not sure. I mean, I wanted to see him go away, but really honestly what I wanted to see, I just wanted to see Jim Lampley leave. Right? I got what I wanted with Larry Merchant. I was like, look, Larry Merchant is just so ridiculous. Every time somebody gets in the ring, he's disrespecting them. He's disrespecting Bernard Hopkins, where Bernard Hopkins is like, look, Larry, you're never going to give me my credit. That whole thing. You got Roy Jones Jr. doing the same thing. You had Mike Tyson leave to go to Showtime because of the way that he spoke to Mike Tyson. You have Floyd Mayweather Jr. having a conniption and dang near a breakdown in the ring with Larry Merchant and leaving Showtime. So I was like, if Larry Merchant will leave, then maybe that'll solve the problem. But it didn't solve the problem because Larry Merchant leaves and Jim Lampley just ups it to where he starts saying things like the treatment of the two most gross that I can recall. There's so many where I can say that Jim Lampley is just so far, just so out of sorts and so far off the mark. But the last one was again with Guillermo Rigondeaux, right? Who they had pretty much blackballed off of HBO for years, because he was too good at not getting punched in the head, right? For Jim Lampley to complain to the Nevada State Athletic Commission all the way to the point where they felt like they needed to make that fight a no contest, as if Jim Lampley's job is to be a commissioner, right? A Nevada State Athletic Commissioner. And the other one was the whole treatment of the complaining that went on with Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev in the first fight. Pretty much acting as if, Sergey Kovalev won the fight, and the dude was, all of that garbage, man. But I was just hoping that what would happen was that Jim Lamp, first Larry Merchant would leave, then Jim Lampy would leave. I was hopeful that Max Kellerman would come in, because I think that Max Kellerman does understand as a he has a better understanding of boxing than Larry Merchant did and Jim Lampley did. And one of the encouraging things that I did hear in listening to that telecast was that Max Kellerman was a lot less respectful of Jim Lampley. They were just pretty much just out and out disagreeing with Jim Lampley, and it seemed like Jim Lampley was a little bit more cowed by Max Kellerman and definitely by Andre Ward, where I felt like Andre Ward was more free just to flat out disagree with Jim Lampley and call a fight like he saw it. But I didn't want to see. But I just wanted that to go away. I just wanted to see that go away. I just wanted the Jim Lampley nonsense to go away, the Larry Merchant nonsense to go away, and for them to put on some legitimate boxers and people who at least seemed like they really enjoyed boxing and were willing to be complimentary of people of different fight styles, right? Where if somebody's a boxer, they could appreciate a guy that was a boxer. They could appreciate a guy that was a boxer puncher. They could give whoever won the fight, that they could give them their just due, give them their credit, and let them shine on the stage after they win a fight or they win a championship. That's all I really wanted from HBO, because, like I said, everything other than that about HBO, it was a pleasure to watch HBO and look at the screen, right? Like all the things, like the clarity of the picture, the clarity of the sound, right? The lead in, the work that the producers do as far as producing the music and Michael Buffer, the whole thing. That all of that environment, other than the announcers on HBO, was top class, top notch. And all I really wanted was for the announcers to go away and to get some people that will really be appreciative and respectful of the boxers. But really, what we are now with HBO is everything of value pretty much has gone away. Now you don't even have any fighters. There aren't any fighters that I want to see. And I'm not going to try to take anything. I'm not taking any away from the little guys fighting. But, I mean, the heart of boxing in America is not the 115-pound division. It's not the minimum weights and the straw weights, Superfly weights. I mean, those are cool fights to see. Those are cool fights to see. But what HBO and these guys should be showing, they should be showing, and maybe if the end of pay-per-view would come, then we could see that. I want to be able to see like the Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder on HBO, right? Or on Showtime. Pretty much the fights that are happening on Showtime. I want HBO to be like Showtime, and for these guys to be able to work with each other, share whatever has to happen. But I never really wanted HBO to be in the situation that they're in. I just wanted them to get to the point where they got rid of the announcers. Now, I think a major part of the reason why they are is because HBO, the Jim Lampley and those guys got caught out there in a major shift. Because if you listen to those guys like in the 90s, they would say, late 90s, I remember Jim Lampley saying that HBO didn't need to look for talent because the talent always came to HBO. Right, they had a budget, and boxing was like with Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, can't remember if that was on HBO or not, but the Roy Jones Jr.'s, they were really the center of boxing, and it seemed like HBO, the organization, was supporting boxing. But now that HBO has gone to doing the Game of Thrones, gone to doing more of like the massive production type television series that are really cost as much as major movie productions, it seems like they're like, you know what, we don't really care so much about boxing, and we'll just push everything that comes out of the budget onto pay-per-view and make whatever HBO a subscriber really wants to care about boxing. We'll let them pay for that. Let them pay for them out of their own dollar on pay-per-view. But we're not going to we're going to have some little itty bitty budget where we can have, and as a result of having little bit itty bitty budgets, we got little itty bitty fighters who are great talents, and I enjoyed the fight. I don't think it was a bad card, but I mean, to be honest, man, there was nothing about that fight, nothing about it that really motivated me. And as a boxing fan and as a boxing channel, I mean, I feel a little bit uncomfortable saying it, but it's just nothing. There's nothing super attractive about seeing, you know, little itty bitty guys from that I've never heard of before, really, unless I go down Box Rec, right? That I'm just not that interested fight on HBO. And it showed itself in these rankings, in these ratings. It's pretty much just diehard boxing fans that clicked into it and watched it. But, you know, I'm just wondering, you know, whether or not, if they keep going the way that they're going in 5 years, whether there's going to be an HBO boxing at all. And it's gone to the point where, you know, from me feeling like, you know, I'm really kind of happy when these guys' ratings are tanking because it might make them to change, to now me thinking that, you know, it really doesn't matter. You know, they're just going away, period. Anyway, so with that, I'm out. Peace.